So now we're now here at the home stretch. We're now finished with chapter 7. This is the last video, and we're going to take a look at some ethical considerations. Again, really important, for us as managers and as accountants, to be aware of, ethical issues that come up. So we know that the budgeting process, it should satisfy all of the IMA ethical standards, which will strengthen cross-functional managerial relationships. So again, you're working and you want to do everything you can. You're working well with other managers and other people, and you want to make sure you maintain those lines of communication. And so again, so they break it down here. So in area of competence, it's going to be using forecasting, and so that you're using models that model the cost behavior of the business and that help to support decision making. Care should be taken to make budgets as accurate as possible, because again, this is the plan for the business. They're going to be using this, so it is really important that you make sure everything is as accurate as possible. Confidentiality, it's important that you maintain confidentiality of the budget models and of the documents, which are internal private plans that contain sensitive information. So a lot of these things that you're working with and your calculations and how you arrive at those and some of that, it's for the company's internal purposes. It's not for something that is for the whole world to know. And you certainly wouldn't want competitors to know this information. So, making sure to maintain the confidentiality of information is going to be critical, so that you're not sharing it, that you're properly protecting it. Any printouts of information, any electronic information that you're securing that, it's important. Integrity. Goals have to be set with integrity. So when you're setting your goals, you really, need to be aware of that and making sure, that you're being, having integrity in how you're doing that and how those are being defined and measured. You want to avoid budgetary slack that would make goals easier to achieve, right? So we talked about that, I know, in one of the earlier videos about budgetary slack and what that was. But again, so if you're just adding and padding, you don't want to do that. So it's important, just to make sure things are done well and done correctly. We want to set goals that are going to stretch managers in order to make achievable improvements. So we do want to stretch managers, stretch our employees. We do want to do that. I will say here just one thing, you want to be sensitive to that as well, and how much pressure you're putting or what, you want to make sure too that the goals are, as it says, they're achievable. That's going to be really important, because if they feel that they're not, then that, and it kind of speaks to this area of integrity, that brings in a whole nother thing into question, right? And you think about what happened even like with Wells Fargo, and of course he's gone, the CEO of the company's gone. There's, a lot of the people that work there are gone. But if you remember that, they set really unachievable sales goals, and so people were trying to set up all these fake accounts and fake credit cards and things, and opening up accounts for people that people didn't know that they had. And they didn't ask for, they didn't want, and being charged for things that they didn't want. I mean, obviously that's very unethical. So you just want to be aware, you're setting goals, make sure they're achievable, make sure, that it's not something that's going to push your managers and others to try to kind of go and move in areas where they're tempted. Maybe then they feel like, okay, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to get my bonus. I'm not going to get things. And so I really have to be very unethical in what I'm doing. You just need to be really aware of that. So yeah, you do want to stretch managers, stretch your employees. You do want to do that, but just making sure again that it's something that is doable for them. That they actually not. You don't want it to be so easy, but you also don't want it to be so difficult where there's just no way. And then they feel pressured. Okay, I have to do things that are unethical in order to meet that. And then credibility. is vital to ensure fair and objective communication within the management team. So you do want to, maintain your credibility as well. And so, which of the following statements here are true? Is it that ethics during the budgeting process would help erode cross-functional relationships? We know that's not true. The way it would help to strengthen that. Having a good ethics during a budget process, it helps to build cross-functional relationships. We want to avoid budgetary slack since it leads to unachievable goals. That latter part is what then is untrue in that. We do want to avoid budgetary slack because it can make the goals too easily achievable. And allow for fraud, or we're not doing things as well as we should. Goals based on a budget should stretch managers to make achievable improvements. It is C. That's what we want to do. And certainly it's not D. Budgetary slack should be added during the budget process. We don't want to do that. So what is true is C, is again, our goals that are based on the budget, they should stretch managers to make achievable improvements. But again, we just want to be kind of aware of that as well. It's kind of a balance you have to kind of strike, because again, you don't want people to do things then that would be unethical.